Hey, what's up guys? Chris Trini here for KRISCOART'S Productions. I have to apologize, I'm a little sick, so I might sound a little stuffy, but what we're going to be covering today is how to achieve a vintage or retro style look to your footage. So let's jump right in, and the first effect that we're going to be applying to our clip is a tint effect. I'm just going to click and drag and drop it onto our clip, and you can see that it desaturates our image completely. And we're going to set the amount of tint, so the amount of desaturation, to let's say 20 to 25%. I'm going to put in 25%. So now you see that our image is a little bit more desaturated. And the second effect that we're going to be adding is called curves. And I use this a lot to color correct and color grade. And by the way, a quick side note, color correction and color grading are two very different things. Color correction, as the name says, is making your footage look correct. So, you know, the skin tones look right, and there's no blown out, overexposed areas. So it's just really correcting your footage to even match other clips and stuff like that. And color grading is really establishing the style and the look that you want to give to your footage. So let's jump right in, and one of the first things that I'm going to do is push this up, and what this does is it washes out some of the darker colors in our image. And I'm going to bring it slightly back just to gain a little bit of that contrast back, maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to add a S shape to that. So we're going to bring down some of these darker tones of the image and then bring these back up. And what this does is it's still washed out, but it still has a little bit of contrast in this range of colors. I'm going to grab this bottom knob and push it up just like I did with the masters. And this gives us this weird red tint. And the reason why I did this is because you got to keep in mind that you're trying to imitate film. And the actual celluloid film is images being printed on a very, very dark brown material. So this is going to make sense later. We're just bringing up some of the red information in the darker areas of our image. I'm going to create another S shape. Something like that. And from this point forward, it's kind of all preference of what looks good to you. Alright, so now we're going to grab the green curve and we're going to create an S shape, but this time we're going to push the darker colors up and we're going to bring the highlights slightly down. You can just play around with this. It doesn't have to be the green and the red. You could just keep this one fairly straight and do it with the blues. You can make it not as extreme. You know, it's really your choice. Right now I'm kind of liking this. I'm gonna just modify it just a touch so it's not as intense, but I really do like this look. Typically with vintage stuff, I do like more violets and reddish and orange colors. That again is just preference. One last thing that we want to do to complete this effect is add another tint effect. So I'm going to drag and drop this in. I'm going to set this to 25%. And again, we're just desaturating back because with these changes it is a little bit too saturated, so this just knocks it down just a touch. So this is a pretty interesting look that we have so far. Again, this is all just preference. You can mess around with these settings however you want. This is usually what I would do. Now let's bring this a little bit further and let's add some grain. Now I got this from a really cool website called Gorilla Grain, and I just you know, signed up with your name and email, and you can receive a sample film grain and a couple film burns, which I use almost in every project. It's really great. I haven't had a chance to buy any of their products yet, just because I am a broke college student. So, you know, not that their prices are not reasonable, but I just gotta save up some money for that. But it's definitely worth checking out. So yeah, let's just use the free pack that they give you when you sign up, and I'm I'm just going to import it into Premiere. So I'm going to drag and drop that grain, and you immediately see that you have like this this gray square with grain in it. And the reason why it's smaller than my composition is because it's 720 resolution, and my project file is full 1080. So what we're going to do is scale it up. So we're going to go under Motion, Scale, and we're going to type in 150, which will bring it exactly up to the size of our composition. And one last thing is we're going to go under Opacity, and we're going to set this to Overlay. Now another thing that you might want to do, and this is again just preference, is the intensity of the grain. So you can see right now it's pretty intense, and which could work for the type of look that you're going for. But for me, this is a little bit too much and a little bit too distracting, so I might knock it down to, let's say, 35. So it's still there, but it's definitely a lot more subtle, and sometimes subtle is better. Alright, now moving on, one of the last things that I'm going to be covering is if we were in After Effects, I would probably add a vignette, just a subtle vignette, and I can show you guys how to do that in the later part of this tutorial, which will be covering more advanced things in After Effects. But if you don't have After Effects, I am going to create like a vignette pack that you can download, and I'm just going to be using one that I made very quickly. It is a little too strong, so I'm going to select it and bring the opacity down just a little bit, maybe by 40%. So there we go. Now we have a little bit of a vignette, and we can just expand this for however long the clip is, and we can copy this and paste it. Okay, so this is what we have so far. My computer is really slow, so I can't really play back in real time, unfortunately, in full resolution. So let me just show you in half resolution. Hopefully it'll work. There we go. Still a little choppy, but you get to see the effect. So looking pretty good. Another thing that you can do inside of Premiere, we'll be covering how to do this from scratch in After Effects, but if you do have some film burns, again, some come with this pack from Gorilla Grain for free. So what you can do is apply these film burns, which are really, really cool. So I'm going to drag and drop these in. I'm just going to use one for now, and I'm just going to apply it on the top here, and I'm going to select it and set the transfer mode, the blend mode, to, you can either do add, or I usually do screen so it's not too filming. And there we go, we could just have this little effect as the camera just starts off, and then it kind of disappears. And same thing with anything else. If you want it to be less intense, you can just bring down the opacity. And you can play with a different transfer mode, so you can set it to add, you can set it to overlay. Alright, so this wraps up the first part of how to create a vintage look inside of Premiere. Now we're going to jump into After Effects. We're going to be covering slightly more advanced things, nothing too complicated. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and it was helpful or useful. And I'll see you in part 2 when we're going to jump into After Effects and play around some more with all kinds of crazy things, like creating some film burns from scratch and a lot of fun stuff. So thanks again for watching. My name is Chris Trini for KRISCOART Productions, and I'll see you in part 2 hopefully, if not next time.